everyone, and welcome back. It is another episode of the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. I am the host and creator, Melanie Robinson. This is the space where any woman of any size, any age, she can learn how to thrive. And the stories that we have here, I know will inspire you and empower you to chase whatever dream you want to go for. With me today is artist, musician, and teacher. She is in the Gulf Coast area here, and she just released her own album of all her original music. She's become a good friend of mine. Please say hello to Michelle Robinson. No relation. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. So thank you for having me, Miss Melanie.
She
It's an
always likes to call me Miss Melanie.
honor. I
I
do.
think it's adorable. So Michelle, you go by your artist name Michelle Musicale. Is that right?
Yes. And
So
so when I release music, that's the name that I use for it.
awesome. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, I am not originally from the Gulf Coast. I was born in Chicago, and then while I was still little, I moved to New York and Rhode Island, and then that's kind of really where a musical journey started for me. And I started to, get involved in school choirs and music, and my grandmother started teaching me piano around that time. And so I was just really around the arts. I was doing like after school programs for writing and literature. And so I guess that's really where my singer-songwriter stuff started. And then all through the rest of my life, I just kept working on it and, always was around it. And then joined church. When I was younger, my mom and grandmother started taking us as a family. And then, so started getting involved in music programs at church and things like that. And then, just have done that for a long time too. And that's been really an honor to be a part of that and see so much impact on people's lives. And then, as a music instructor, I started doing that after having kids. And I, was able to bring them up with me in that as well and see them flourish today also. And so now I'm just at a place where I'm working on my own music and really trying to put my stories out there and, encourage other people and really help them, relate to them and bring out their inner strength and, you know, let them know that, they're going to be fine and just to
Yeah,
keep going. And
I love
yeah.
that. And what I think is so interesting about your story, Michelle, is how music was just a thread that just kept following you through your life. And it wasn't until you were well into adulthood where you really launched it more into a career for yourself. And then you were able to bring those talents and bring your children up with those talents as well. And then you made a move where you're like, you know what, this is my time. This is where I'm going to focus on myself. What was it that made you decide to finally, I'm going to focus on my own art, do something for me? What was that?
Well, I think for me, maybe I had to have a little bit of a push into it. But I really started it about 4 or 5 years ago. I was really just writing songs, and actually, this is my little journal. I actually got this at a um, women's conference, probably, I don't know, it's been like 8 years maybe,
Hmm.
something like that. And I just held on to it. And then one day I opened it up and I just started writing lyrics in there and putting ideas together and things like that. And then I just kept writing my stories in there. Whatever I felt, I wrote it down. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I really can help other people. Maybe there are other people out there dealing with the same things, internal
Yeah.
and, things that happen on the outside do affect us on the inside.
Oh,
And what's on the
absolutely.
inside is the most important part of us as people. So I think that's really what launched it. And then whenever I really started going through a lot of traumatic events, I think that's probably what really pushed me the most into that album because I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Enough is enough. I'm
Yeah.
going to, if what we go through is for a purpose to help others, then I need to put this out there. Maybe it will reach somebody. Maybe there are other people that are going through things that are just as bad or worse. One of the things for me was losing my grandmother. She was
Mm,
92 when she passed away in November of 2022. And so when I lost her, I felt like that was like the ending of something, like the
mm,
closing of an era or something in my life. And that was really devastating because I had already lost my grandfather in 2009, and that was hard enough. And we have different kinds of relationships with people
right.
in our lives, and for me, that was, you know just the most hurtful because I'd spent most of my life with them, you
Yeah.
know and music had come from them initially, and so for me, I think just things that I was feeling and experiencing that I really couldn't even explain. I just started writing it out, and that was really probably the point where I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I think that's where the internal decision came from.
And I find that, really interesting how, something that's devastating can end up turning into something really beautiful later on. I had a similar thing happen with me when my mother passed away, and she passed away very suddenly. And she was a singer and a teacher, and I learned so much, from her. And when she passed, it did feel like, I lost my right arm, and I had to learn how to navigate, who I was without being Darlene's daughter, if that makes sense. It's
Perfect.
like I had to, reintroduce myself to myself, and that I am an artist in my own right. And she gave me the talent, she gave me the guidance, but I have the ability to keep going. What was it that gave you the confidence to put yourself out there?
I don't know if I ever really had the confidence to do it, to be honest. I think for me, because I had struggled, fear was something that I always struggled with. How are people are going to see me? Are they going to
Hmm.
like me?
Yeah.
Am I good enough in the
Yeah.
first place? Because you see people that are impacting the world globally, and I think sometimes we have ideas that we measure ourselves
Hmm.
against, you know. And I think one day I was just praying and really trying to like think about it and just pray about it. And I'm like, God, I don't know how to really do this because I want to, I want to be good enough in your eyes. And it's like, well, God was like, but I'm the one that makes people good enough for anything in life, and all good things come from him. And then I remember like sitting there one day, and really I was just like sobbing my eyes out, crying embarrassingly. And it was like he said, fear is just like an intruder, right? It's like
Mm.
this other person coming into your house to rob you and intimidate you. It's like a bully.
Yeah.
And it was like I said, "Oh, okay." And so I started, I think, treating fear like it was someone coming to steal from me
Mm.
and to take my to take my joy and my happiness and my life. And I think that's when I really realized, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna defeat this bully called fear, and I treated it just like another person trying to, come in my house and take things that didn't belong to them. And then it just started coming from there. I started doing one thing at a time, one step at a time, and just, defeating one obstacle at a time until I finally did it.
That's
And
fantastic. I love that imagery of turning that fear and think of it as a bully. This thing that's trying to invade your peace. And I'm going to use that. I really like that idea. I think so many of us, we are our own worst enemy. We
yeah,
create walls, around ourselves. And my inner saboteur likes to speak up every now and then. And if I can relabel that inner saboteur, like, oh, you're just fear. You're just trying to come in. You're just trying to take my things. I'm not going to let you. You can show yourself out. Thank you very much. I have things to do here.
exactly. Exactly. And it's hard, because
Hmm.
there's people that we love dearly, like our mentors and people that have imparted into our lives, our entire lives. And we want to be good enough, it's like we always want to be good enough for someone that we respect and love dearly.
Hmm.
And, whether it's a person in our life or even God, or just no matter who it is, and so it's like we're always trying to get ourselves ready and do this inner preparation while fear's over here doing this. And it's like, get away, get away. So you have to just sort of kick fear in the face, kick him out of your house, and go,
And say
go
bye
for it.
bye.
Yeah, just go for it.
Well, I want to talk a bit about your new album, which is all original material, which for me, as someone who is a musician, that blows my mind. It always impresses me when people write their own material because that's not a talent that I have, or at least I haven't discovered that I have. Uh, so how long did it take for you to put together the songs that you include on your album?
Um, maybe, well, I guess I can explain it this way. I didn't really think about it when I was writing some of the songs. So, Broken Wings is the first song on the album. It's also the title of the album. And I guess it could be considered maybe the anthem of the album because, everyone has hopes and dreams and goals that they want to accomplish. Whether that's being, showing up for your family every day, showing up for yourself. It
Mhm.
doesn't always mean about, fame and fortune or things like that. It could be small things, big things, anything. And so when I wrote that song, it came to me a couple of years ago, actually. It's the oldest song on the album. And I was dealing with something really quite personal at the time, and some things were just happening, and I think I was listening to maybe wrong people, just kind of putting things in my mind about myself that just weren't good. And
Mm.
so I said, God, I don't know what to do. And then he just started giving me these words to this song. And I was like, okay, all right. And started writing away. And so that's the oldest song on the album, and I wasn't thinking about, an album at the time that came out. But then as things started happening, more and more traumatic things, then I started to just write them into songs, and it was like, okay, this would happen or that would happen. And I would just really dig into reading my Bible and praying a lot, and just it was coming out in songs.
Hmm.
Um, the youngest song on the album is actually the last song. So maybe I put them in order unintentionally of age. I didn't mean for that to happen, but I'm realizing now it just kind of did. And Wreck is really kind of like the last thing happened. And it was pretty I remember it happened a year ago on Good Friday. I got the news that someone that was very close to me had actually just not been who I thought they were. And that was really heartbreaking because it had affected my entire family. It affected my workspace, my church space, every part of my life. It happened, and then this tsunami just went out like a
Mm.
ripple effect. And I don't know that I completely have gotten away from that, but I'm still working on it, and just protecting those spaces a lot more now. And so rec is when the final thing happened. I can't take this anymore. And I felt like everything inside of me was just broken to ash. And
Mm.
it was like there's nothing left. And when a fire burns up, that last piece of wood, you can't even tell what it is anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I remember the day that I wrote that song, and I was a sobbing mess again. And I just felt so broken, completely in ash. And it was like God was coming in saying, I'm going to put you back together. I'm going to give you a new heart. And I'm going to put every piece of dust back together, because that's really initially where He created us from, was dust in the first place. And
That's
if He brought
true.
it up out of the earth, out of the
Yeah.
ashes, of the sand and the dirt, and put us together, He can do it again, definitely. And so I just imagine Him doing this thing with His finger where He's spinning the dirt around, and then this human being forms, and this force field is around protecting the creation as it's brought back up again. And so that's really kind of it's just stories from my life, the things that have happened, externally, with that exchange from the things in the inside. And
Hmm.
middle of all of that, God really has been the only thing I've really been able to, just hold on to Him, whether I've done everything right or not. He's been the constant, the consistent thing
Hmm.
to help bring that out. And so that's really where the album came from, is just the stories in my life and how God speaks to me through them.
And you've been given a great gift from God. I mean, the ability to sing and perform and write and teach. And so, he knows what he's doing, right? I mean, he knows that your gifts are going to be what's going to help you heal. And I know for myself, those are similar things that I go to as well to help me heal. Journaling, singing, performing, teaching, because I know that the arts is such an empowering experience for our young people. And I know, since we're fellow teachers in the music field, what's something that you have seen with the students that you teach? Like, what does music do for them that you've noticed?
I think the thing I've noticed the most is, especially with young people, adults handle things they go through differently usually, but young people tend to turn to music for
Hmm.
things that they're dealing with. They probably feel things like, well, I've had them tell me before, like, or my parents aren't listening to me, I'm not heard enough by the grown-ups, or they're seeing a therapist, or they have things going on. They don't feel like they have anyone to relate or talk to about things. So they turn to music. And when they come in with a song or something they connect with, that's the vehicle helping them on their healing journey. And so I love the most when they come in and they find a song and they're so excited about it.
Yeah.
They're like, how can I achieve this? How can I accomplish this? And they want to do it. And bringing the best out of them from the inside out, and their confidence from the inside out, and then working on the mechanical things, after that is so rewarding, especially whenever you see them and they've reached their goal, or they're
Yeah.
and then they're happy, they're crying, they're hugging you. And that's the most rewarding for me,
It
is
is for me too.
yeah, imparting into them and watching them grow. And
Hmm.
who they're supposed to be, from the inside out and with their talent, musical talents and things.
And one thing that I always hope that when I'm teaching students, no matter if it's speech or music or theater or whatever it is that I'm teaching, that they will walk away with something that will carry with them for the rest of their lives. I mean,
That
face it, I mean, the majority of our students aren't going to become professional musicians, but they're going to learn so much about trusting themselves and how to love the process and how to express themselves in a healthy way. And I know for myself, I advocate so much for schools dipping more into arts programs because we've seen how it can be devastating to kids when they don't have that form of healthy expression.
exactly. And when they become adults, I see that in adult students
Hmm.
too. They reflect back to, or when I was in elementary school, or when I was in high school, or when I did this, with something relating back to music in their past. They remember those moments and they reflect on it a lot, that, this helped me. I remember where I was at on the inside, and I remember this helped me. And I remember that song, and I remember
Yeah,
my teacher, and I remember how I did it. And so I think that when students and people experience music when they're younger, it stays with them forever. They always
absolutely.
back to that place.
And we can play a part in that, and that's so special.
Very special. I'm trying not to tear up on those
That's okay
as
because
I'm
it means a
remembering how.
lot. It means a
Yes,
lot. Well, I want
and
to
I
make
keep
sure we get to hear a snippet of your song. So I'm going to quickly pull this up and we can hear a bit from your album. I'm going to
oh,
say strong.
There's a place that I don't like to go. It's so much deeper inside. It's the place where I lost all hope. My heart broke. I thought I died. Until one day I was sitting alone. There was a man saying you're gonna be fine. I got up, started walking alone, and the pain, well, I pushed it aside. To survive, oh, you gotta be strong. It's all or nothing. I die. Don't throw the towel in. You're gonna be fine. Just wait and see it. You'll be fine. Gonna be fine. Gonna be fine. I know.
Wow. That is just beautiful. It's so powerful. Such an
oh,
empowering message. I'm gonna be fine. Like, yes. I feel like we all need to play that when we're driving around in our car.
oh, oh, I'm trying not to tear up over here.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. It's because this is your baby. This is, what you've worked so hard on. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but I want everyone to know, where can they get these wonderful tracks from your album? Where can they find you? Let us know where we can stream these.
In the US, I think most people use Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, stuff like that. In other countries, they use things like Boomplay, Deezer. Gamers might be able to find it like on Tidal or things like that. But it is on a lot of platforms. So wherever music is streamed, it's available on those. And also, for Instagram and Facebook stories and Snapchat stories and things like that, it's available
Yeah,
for
and I
that.
will be linking all of her socials, her site. You all need to check her out. Give her some love. This is this is her diary for you to hear, and I know it's going to empower all of you. Michelle Musicale, Thank you so much for joining me today in the Fearless and Fabulous podcast. It's really been an honor to have you, hon.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be able to be here and a privilege, and I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you. Now, don't start crying.
Oh, I do that a
Oh, it's
lot.
okay. You can cry. You can cry. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share with your friends. I will be back soon with another episode, and you can also follow me at Melanie Gray Robinson Official, and you can get merch from the Fearless and Fabulous Podcast Store. See you then.